Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditation practice that enters a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. And this week, we're really opening up to creativity, finding the playfulness, the freeness, the looseness that allows things to kind of seep through our porous membrane of our mind from our imagination out into some medium, in this case, drawing on a piece of paper. We'll start by releasing the control, closing our eyes and letting the hand move and create a few points that gather together into some more complex field. And then we'll map through that field in several layers of porous tissue that will emerge into something for you, something you create and discover along the way. I'm going to start just with a simple pencil, but then I'll move into some colored pencil, other things just to bring another dimension to it, have a little fun with the instruments that we'll use, but anything will work just fine. Pen, pencil, charcoal, marker, colored pencil, all make their mark. So go ahead and gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. I guess I'll do a little introduction. I think we can find it along the way, but might as well get a sense of the map we're working with. Similar, maybe a little bit to last week, we'll start with a bit of a kind of cloud of points. This one you can do with eyes open or closed, depending on how you feel like engaging the page. I might let mine drift a little softly, build up some kind of constellation there. Beforehand or during, we think a little about the distribution, an idea of density and porosity, of clustering and connection. Then each one of these will get a little bit of an influence, some kind of shape around it. Again, those can be a variety of sizes. They can be more circular or more amorphous or anything that might be there. And then we'll look at those two kind of layers of clustering and connection to build tissue out of the porous surface. So they might get wrapped into small groups of 2 or maybe tightly packed groups of 3 or something like that. And then those groups can get further packed in to larger groups. We kind of get this layering topography to the organization. Again, making of points, playing with density, kind of porosity or openness, and then we'll see where they go as they fill out some of the space of the page. I'm going to start with just a pencil lightly on there, and then work into some colored pencils once a little structure develops. But if you have anything you want to play with, feel free to get it out. Pen would work just fine as well. And to get started, we might use a few of our relaxing breaths, entering breaths, to just think about the page there. Does it have a direction to you? It is the kind of site or landing place for the drawing that will come, and maybe with the natural movement, if you're right-handed, of being engaged in one cross-axis or another, or since it's a rectangle or squarish object somewhere in the center, any place that your mind begins to focus as you take an inhalation, look at the paper, take an exhalation, and let it kind of come into the mind, to the eyes. Breathe through a cycle of noticing the place where you'll engage. And as you're ready, we'll start to make those clusters of little dots, and eyes open or closed. I think I'll let mine be kind of softly closed. Maybe look every once in a while to make sure I'm on the page, but knowing through the hand where roughly the paper is, where I can reach, and try to keep that in my attention. And start just by making a dot somewhere. Give it a little bit of presence, maybe move it around some, just so it's easy to find later. And continue moving the hand, and guided by the eye if you want to look for a certain play of density and porosity, or closed, and just playing around, navigating the space. Starting to notice how the hand moves, the small pressures to make a little dot moving in a tight space, especially with eyes closed or softened. You can listen to the fingertips as they mark the paper. Feel the little muscles flex up through into the hand and the wrist. Hear the texture vibrate through the pen or pencil. Notice each new position, a subtly different configuration of the hand, finger, pencil connection, a subtly different set of engagement of forces onto the tool, maybe a little different interaction between the tip and the page, texture, smoothness or roughness changing. If it's with graphite, it wears away in each one, maybe a little bit different. Maybe we notice that subtlety over time. We take just a few moments of quiet dot forming. And we'll open our eyes up in just a moment, but for the last few dots, taking them a little bit slower, inhaling in the space between, marking, moving the hand to where it feels right, and exhaling it down to engage the dot through the whole exhalation cycle, and repeating that a few times, breathing in to lift and locate. Find a place and exhale out through that marking process. Disengage and navigate the space, the inhalation and exhale. A new location on that exhalation. Letting the slower, deeper interaction fill out a little bit of space inside. And release any tension out through that mark onto the paper. Expand the body up and out. And engage out through the medium. Anytime you can step back to that, add a few more dots, find a nice cycle of centering. When you're ready, let your eyes open, take in the constellation. Notice the density shift, the regularity or regularity, depending on how your hand and mind connected together. As you take it in, finding a place of beginning, as we'll add a little radius to these objects, give them a little presence on the page as a larger whole, and start to work our way through, drawing a shape around it. Circle, wiggle, square, changing, all up to you as you play. We'll keep that nice engagement with the inhalation and exhalation going at your pace. Perhaps you breathe in while you make a mark. Move in the space between and breathe out as you make the next mark. Or if you want to go a little slower, similar to the dots, breathing in to locate and breathing out to exhale it onto the page. Speed up to you what feels comfortable. Or let you be present with each interaction to make the little choices of size, orientation, starting place. Working through the field. A simple application of technique or mark, just moving around the center, slowly building from one place, one whole area, to the space between the many. That space between moments, mirrored in the space between the breaths. Being aware of your pacing. Every once in a while, it might help to take a breath to stabilize, to notice you're going a little fast or a little slow, breathing a little heavy or not quite enough. Readjust for a few. Find a nice comfortable pace, plenty of dots to work with, plenty of time to breathe out this emerging field onto the page. You might find unique conditions, shifts from the very wide spacing to the very tight and narrow. Let the breath guide. Take a moment to think how you put the pen or pencil into that space, how it makes a shape. Maybe some have two centers, a little more of an ellipse. Maybe some very small or combined pores wrapping around compression, giving it a little space to breathe. But as you fill out all the marks, engage with all the initial dots on the page, we begin to drift our attention out again, taking a few breaths when you're ready to let the pen or pencil rest. No rush to fill them all, but at any time you can. Noticing it for a moment, maybe even putting the pen or pencil down for a second to see what is there. To notice the groupings and clusterings, or the dissipation and coagulation, coalescence. I'm going to switch over a little bit to a colored pencil, just picking one that has a little tip to it. And begin to group small groups, looking for the kind of smallest group, the group of two through proximity. If we have an area where 3 is close and all about the same, groups of 3, or even larger, but working in small clusters around the page. Traveling a little bit outside of the perimeter currently established, squeezing between the tight areas and kind of holding those small groups together with a new contour, a new hole to the holes. Sometimes they may touch the neighbor or squeak just barely past. Now in this mode of reading and mapping, navigating the established territory. And without the plan of counting, you may have little extras floating around. Groups of one, they can get their own second ring or stay solo for a little while. You choose inside the drawing, paying attention to how you move through the curves established on the page. You may undulate in and out, staying close to the perimeter. Give them a nice, clean, new outline. Well, up to you, the way your eyes, your hand, and your attention read the drawing. And as you become more comfortable with the action, the navigating of the space, you move at a pace that feels easy. It's a little bit quicker, a little bit slower, up to you, but a pace bring your attention to. You notice how quickly you can move or how slow you feel good with the hand moving through the tight little areas. Sudden shifts and changes of direction. And attention to that speed is your interface to the map. And if you reach a wrapping of all the local clusters that you find, step your mind one layer out. Notice the next layering of clusters on clusters. Maybe they pull in the solo ones. They take groups of 2 into groups of 4, 6, 8. You just contour the contours, layer by layer. You're working with color or another type of instrument. You might play with changing it up, each one becoming an index of change. And so what we'll work through for the next few minutes is quietly navigating the map, bringing together areas under new wrappings, defining the regions of porosity, and slowly bringing the whole together as a tissue. Dimension of color or something, we can begin to bring it in the space between, perhaps filling in a little variation, shading, tone, or texture. Bring a little redefinition to the gray, maybe a little inward change, a light marking of the centers in a new way, finding what emerges in the drawing that you might bring together through the different elements, using the field, the emerging relationships between parts coalescing as a whole to explore what you see. How do they work together in layers, radiating outward or condensing inward from their origins? How does texture or color, tone occupy the open space. There's a lot of territory to cover, so we're just getting started. Place to explore some ideas, to let the openness provided by the breath and the release into the origins of the unknown. First step, marking a page with locations without direction or purpose. Now taking shape, perhaps inspiring an idea in the mind, or just having a map to follow, bringing a little bit more to it. And when you find something there, you have a few minutes left, so when you find an idea, see if you can test it again, let it emerge in another spot. We have the many to bring together as the one. Releasing into that space of exploration, creativity, the empty page slowly becoming and noticing what imaginings come to the mind. It's okay if you see only circles and wiggly lines. It's okay if you see little clusters or archipelagos, depending on the colors or tones or textures you choose. A lot of variation in imagination might emerge, depending on the shapes you started with. Visual recognition may find quite different conditions, but just the one for us. And if you notice an emptiness, a blank, a nothing that comes there, I don't see a thing, follow the steps, fill in the gaps, and let the thing become itself. Continue to explore and fill or expand new dots, new rings, new territories. For the last couple of minutes, letting our attention and awareness come to the body again. Be a little noticing of the pacing of your breath. No need to guide it specifically. Can you hear the inhalation and exhalation? Slow or fast is where you are, what state of perhaps relaxation or creativity the body might be in at any moment. You can hear the interaction of the pen or pencil with the paper. Light scratching, perhaps, to the ears. A little vibration to the fingers. Some form of excitement moving through a medium. And as you open up those senses, listening to the space around you, maybe the heat, the air flowing through a vent, the breeze rustling outside. Anything else that you notice that expands your senses to space, slowly lifting us from the hyper focus of the drawing, the moving of the pencil, the moving of the fingers, coming back to a place beyond ourselves, noticing where you are in the drawing, finding a place to pause for a little while as the exercise winds down. You can always chance to return at any time to keep exploring the field, bringing us to the map. But as you feel ready for a little break, a chance to give the fingers a rest, let the pen or pencil come to a rest. Bring the hands together in front of you for a little bit of movement, letting the palms touch, flexing between fingertip and palm, moving them in some synchronicity, some mirroring, and a little wiggle just to loosen them up. Feel everything relax there. Take a nice closing breath or two, really filling out some space. And exhaling heavy with a release. And returning to your place to head to the next part of your day. And sometimes along the way, as we start something, we make a few somewhat arbitrary decisions. We get a few marks on the page, and our imagination begins to go. We get a little creative energy. We release it, and then we get an idea. And here, we kind of end in a place where things are just beginning for me. Maybe yours is in that place as well, and I encourage you to follow that path, see where it goes, and bring it to a whole. Just like the little circle around the dot gives it a whole, with the W and just the H. The contours wrap the many into a new whole, and a new whole, and a new whole, and your working through the drawing can bring a new whole to the system. So I'm going to take a little time. You can watch along at a little bit of hyperspeed after this to continue to fill out my whole idea here of porous tissue and see where yours goes as well. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know below what you found during the exercise, and subscribe for more episodes of Mindful Drawing, usually every week on Wednesdays. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and draw well. Thank you.